Good to go, Matt.
Good.
Good. Welcome to Chats with Chalky. Today we have a really special guest, Matt Devine. He's just gone through a huge transformation in his own journey. I'll let him get to the nitty-gritty details of that. But yeah, without further ado, thanks for jumping on, Matt, and it's been awesome to connect with you and get to know you.
It's great to connect with you. You guys are officially the greatest distance I've communicated with on a podcast. Canada all the way to Australia. I'm so proud of that. It's amazing. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's been quite a journey for you, and I'll just get you to start off with yeah, what drove you to do your big 13,000 bike ride across Canada?
Yeah, so the background story for me is I was a young athlete here in Canada. We all played hockey. As I got older, I got into combat sports like boxing and mixed martial arts. But I ended up heading towards university and finding the party life and kind of never stopped until I hit, 30 years old, 35 years old. And at my rock bottom, I was a 300-pound obese, clinically obese drinker and smoker. And on a fateful trip to the doctors one day, I went in with adult chicken pox, which can be quite serious for adults, actually. And the doctor took my blood pressure and rushed me to the emergency, saying, we've got something very serious here. You'll probably die of a heart attack or a stroke within the next 5 years. So that started my conversion from a physical perspective. I started to get in shape. But at the age of about 40, I was very successful in business. I had a great consulting career, but I noticed my passion and my motivation was declining. So although I was getting physically fit, I was successful in my career, I started to suffer with mental, mental illness in a sense, depression. I call it the gray, for lack of a better term. And all those things that were important to me 5, 10, 15 years ago no longer mattered. I didn't care about money and titles and cars and homes and all that stuff. And, I woke up on the couch one day and I said to my wife, I'm going to run 300 kilometers from a very well-known ski village here in Alberta called Jasper. And I was going to run through the Columbia ice fields, through the Canadian Rockies, all the way to another small town called Canmore. And for you folks down in Australia, you probably heard of a ski village called Banff. It's where a lot of the famous stars go to ski. Lake Louise, some of the most beautiful scenery, but a very punishing run because I'm running through the mountains. And I'd never run more than a marathon, and that was about 10 years ago. But I was able to run 300 kilometers in 7 days. And I raised money for kids, for sick children. Soon after that, I crossed the finish line. I was at work at a big work function, and I kind of had both a mental crash, but also a moment of mental clarity. And I knew I had to walk away from my career. I was done with it. I said to my wife, Nicole, I need to do more than just show up for work. So I married my passion for fitness, and we designed what you now know as the Quick Card Ride for Change, which was a 13,000 kilometer ride across Canada, not only across, but then up north to some northern communities, one called Whitehorse, the other one's called Yellowknife. I rode through every possible condition Canada can throw. I went from 5 degrees all the way to plus 40. I got pinned with heavy winds, rain, extreme heat, and the biggest thing was forest fires. I got trapped up in Yellowknife. I had to ride through a lot of smoke. But
Wow.
over 100 days, we cycled 12,500 kilometers, and I raised $100,000 for disabled kids. So
Wow, that's incredible, mate. It's
that's,
really incredible. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
And I was about to say, you definitely didn't take the easy route. You took the hardest route across Canada, and you were met with some pretty deep obstacles, not only external, but I watched the thing, and one of the obstacles was your legs were busted. You mentally, you were almost about to give up. what took you across from just about giving up to pushing through?
Yeah, it's interesting. I get asked that a lot, and because I'm a very average athlete. I'm everybody says I'm an endurance athlete. And I suppose if you undertake these missions, you can call yourself an endurance athlete. But I'm older. I'm definitely not what you'd consider your typical David Goggins type of endurance athlete, like these mad guys that just go and do these things. But I'm a big believer in this thing called human spirit. We all have this superhuman within us, and I think it's a matter of making the decision to tap into that. The price you pay for that is a bit of pain, mental and physical pain, but if you're willing to pay it, there is this thing that lives within us that can be turned on and will allow any of us to do amazing things. And cycling 12,500 kilometers is a long way, but for a person that's getting off the couch for the first time, their 5K run or their 5K walk is just as challenging. You have to
Mm,
tap into that resiliency, that energy that lives within us and make a decision. Um,
mm,
you can have purpose, like kids, you can have purpose like family, you can have purpose like trying to maintain your health. But at the end of the day, we as human beings need to make a decision. And the decision is I'm going to get up today and ride or I'm not. And all I tell people is that if you decide to move the first step, the first turn of the pedal, momentum builds progress and progress builds momentum. So I'd love to say to people out there, there's a magic bullet when you undertake these extremely transformative journeys. But at the end of the day, it's a decision to embrace the suck, as we call it.
mm,
But as I say to people, it's a journey and the journey's worth it because the view is quite incredible. If you climb the
mm,
mountain, the view is very beautiful. And I describe it as a process similar to that of a baby taking their first step. When that baby lets go of the table for the first time and it takes those steps, he or she will fall many times, but they always get back up and they always try again. And one day they're actually now walking. Now, think about that moment for the baby. It no longer needs to depend on furniture. It can navigate the room, get to any toy he or she wants, and they never revert back. No matter how many times they fall, they're always going to pursue getting better at walking. Their worlds are completely and permanently changed. So for me, these journeys, these transformative journeys are like that. You should feel a brand new tomorrow when you undertake these journeys. And I think that's the allure of undertaking your own personal mission to find yourself a better, happier life.
mm. I really love what you touched on there. That's a beautiful analogy. And like you said before, it's with, you know, for someone who's really fit, it could be the 300-kilometer run. But for someone who's a couch potato, your hardest thing you could do is maybe that 5K run or a walk even. It's not a great thing to compare yourself to others. So compare yourself to the highest athlete. Just compare your own wherever you are now to what you can do today, what you can do tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I think my wife asked me today, and I'm always very truthful with people when I have these conversations. She walked up. I'm supposed to go down to the river valley here in Edmonton. We're going to take some photos for a web page that's being, well, we're releasing a web page here soon. And I was grumpy. I was angry because the instructions weren't clear and it's cold here and I don't know what to wear. And I wasn't angry at the fact that I have to go take these photos. I'm angry because I'm tired. I'm angry because it's more work on top of work. And I think we as human beings face this every day. Like,
Mm,
you want me to work out, and I've also got all these other things going on. And I tell people, don't ever listen to anyone that just tells you this motivational soundbite and expect to be, you know, accelerated towards movement or accelerated towards undertaking that difficult part of your day working out. It sucks. It does. It's
mm,
hard work. It
mm,
really is. And some days you're grumpy and some days you don't want to do it. But again, the journey up the mountain is always going to be worth it because those views and the experience you get is quite incredible. So You're exactly right. Like just do it. It, depend on your community around you, but do it and trust. I tell people to trust the process because as we get older too, you're a younger guy, but as you get older, life beats you up.
Mm,
Like it's hard getting older. You're going to get stiffer, you're going to get sore, you're going to get more tired, you're going to not sleep as well. But at the end of the day, this movement as medicine concept will not just extend your life, but will extend the quality of your physical being, but also your mental being. Mental health is a big issue right now, and
mm,
and we need to start being our own advocates. We really do, because nobody else, big pharmaceuticals, sure, they want to help us, but we don't want that.
mm, mm. Very powerful. And I like the idea of it's hard to fix the internal when the outside's so unwell. So like starting the pedals, just taking a walk, you start that process of, oh, I can actually do it, and then that rocks over to everything else you do in life. And I'm sure, for you, what that would be one of the biggest things that rolled over from doing the big race, yeah, the big ride, like the mental health, the mental capacity. I can act, how many more things are possible now because I know that I can push through so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do always remind people, I'm very respectful of the fact that every human has their own set of constraints. Every human has their own life to deal with.
Mm,
Telling a rich, successful man who's 35 years old to get in shape is a much different story than the struggling mother of one or two kids who may be sick, who doesn't have a great job. You know, I really want people to know out there that I was in a position to go after this.
mm,
I was capable of taking some time off work and running this 300-kilometer run or this ride. I understand everybody else may not be in that position, and I don't expect them or
mm,
ask them to drop what keeps their lights on or feeds their kids, but just find some time for yourself.
mm,
I have a 7-step program I use for my own transformation. And the first step in it is this self-assessment. You need to find complete stillness so you can listen to the thoughts and
mm,
really ask yourself what's making me unhappy. Um, and I don't mean like I'm not happy because it's snowing today, or I'm not happy because my job's not so good. I'm talking about truly assessing your life and understanding those limiting factors that are not allowing you to live the life you want to live.
mm,
It's the first step. And for the mother of two kids, or the man who's got an addiction, or the couple that's in a bad relationship, you have to do it in a very truthful way,
mm,
because the physical transformation will only work if everything around it is also tuned. You can be fit, you can be successful, but if you're in a shitty marriage, or you're addicted to a narcotic or alcohol, or you have a really, really bad work relationship, or you're not satisfied with your career, none of the fitness matters. What
mm,
matters is holistic picture. So my journey focuses on the whole human side of transformation, not just the physical.
mm,
It is a team and a community that you need to work with, your mental health experts, your fitness trainers, your nutritionists, and then identifying things that you can change in your life and making it
mm,
very tactical. If you're not happy with your job, maybe the first tactical step is to get more education. If you're not happy in your current relationship, either improve it or get out of it.
mm,
So you have to go through and make tactical steps in your life. But the first and foremost is make sure you're physically fit, because you can't fight the fight if you're not.
mm. We call it shooting a cannon off a canoe when your physical
Yeah,
isn't strong enough. Yeah,
exactly.
you'll find it much harder to stay stable and strong within yourself. Yeah, I
Yeah, you
like
don't
what
have that.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I like what you said before about making the decision and being honest with yourself and asking that question. And I want to ask you, when you made that decision, what was the question or the decision you made?
Well, I don't want to get too morose, but I think, when you're so mentally drained, you're working out and you're doing things the way you think you should be. I'm checking the boxes off. I've reduced my drinking. I don't smoke anymore. I'm a fit guy, but you're still struggling to get out of bed in the morning, and you're saying, I'm just not. I'm not enjoying life. You could go one way or the other with that, and I'll tell you, one of the paths is got a very very bad ending. So, mental health, suicide, addiction rates, all these things are at an all-time high. And you come to that cross fork where you have that turning point in the road and you have to make decisions. And for me, it's like I'm super unhappy. I need in Canada, I don't know if you watch football, but the term Hail Mary, like I need a Hail Mary to save myself here. So what am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna run 300 kilometers.
Mm,
Um, that wasn't the fix. Like, I don't want anybody to think that running an Ironman or running 300 kilometers is the fix, but it's a step. It's trying to fix the situation. So for me, I was at an all-time low. It was in a mental crisis. And to be very honest, I still suffer every day from moments where I'm like, just kind of not fully. I know some people I meet, and I ask the question, like, how can you be so happy all the time? Like, how is it possible? And I think people who are really happy and really kind of just go about their day with no gray don't understand people that have those moments of depression. So for me, it was just a battle. Like I have to fight back. I have to
mm,
fight back every day. When I was done the 13,000-kilometer ride, my wife, Nicole, said, "Are you done?" And I said, "I think so. I'm so tired and broken and I can't do anymore." And raising money for children is really difficult, especially when you're trying to find sources of donations. I said, it's time for me to find a soft spot to land here and go to a beach and just rest and go to the sunset now. And she said, okay, but what about, a week from now or 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now? So for me, every day, every event, every decision is made around the fight. I'm just fighting for my happiness. And I think as people get older or they face new life circumstances, they need to be prepared to take that fight on. If you don't, you'll have you'll be a heavy drinker. You'll lose your physical fitness. You'll give up on life. You'll damage your marriage. All those things we hear about are a result of a person or people who are suffering. Like you
mm,
don't attack your marriage because you're a bad guy. Hurt people hurt people. And
mm,
this is what I tell people. You need to make yourself happy. You need to make yourself whole before you can fix other people's problems. So that's where it was for me. I was just
mm,
damaging relationships. I wasn't a happy guy. Even though I had the physical fitness side in the bag, I was still, really in the hole. And then I found the whole community element of fitness, undertaking these events, building out networks like with people like you. And yeah, I just now I want to give the world all of this information, and I want to build this network to start spreading the word instead of having to default to a drug or to a narcotic or to a
mm,
prescription. I want
mm,
to help people, take care of themselves.
mm. Yeah, beautiful, mate. Very beautiful. I also want to ask you what was some of the hardest things you approached on the ride. So it was about 6 to 8 hours every day on the bike, lots of hills. Was that about right?
Yeah. The first so the hardest moment, and this is a true eye-opening story for anybody that's heard this for the first time. On the very first day, I cycled 100 and
60, yeah?
I wa-
160?
yeah, it was like 40 kilometers or more past the furthest I'd ever ridden. And it ended up I was on the bike for about 12 hours. I rode from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening through rain and cold. And we arrived in a small town called Charlottetown on the eastern coast of Canada. So it was very cold. And I woke up that night and my body was in full cramps. And I actually said to my wife, I need to go get an intravenous because my body, I couldn't get out of this cramping cycle. I'd sit and then it'd cramp up. And if anybody's ever had full body cramps, it's a horrible experience. Um, that was day one. That was day one. And I turned in the call and I said, I can't do this. There's 99 more days of this. There's no way I can do this. I said, I'll get up tomorrow and I'll go, but I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. The second day was no better. It was sideways rain and huge wind, like true East Coast weather. Cold, you could see your breath
Oh,
driving right into our faces. We cycled again for another 7 or 8 hours. Um, the sponsor of the event saw me on social media that day and phoned Nicole and said, he looks like he's going to quit. Like he could see it in my eyes. My posts were very, down. I was not in a good space. He phoned me up and he said, you can't quit. My name's on the van and I'm not going to let you quit. I'll fly down if I have to. And I had a moment where I said, day two, and I'm already going to let people down. And that for me, those first 48 hours were by far the worst part. I mean, in your mind too, you have to get over with the concept of, dude, you've cycled 2 days and you are done, and you've got 98 more days to go, and you haven't even hit the mountains yet. Like the elevation was yet to come. I had to cycle over the Rockies not once, but a couple times, and that part of the ride wasn't supposed to be the hardest, but it was by far. There's pictures of me covered in mud, plastic bags on my feet. I've got numbness all over my body. There's mud everywhere. And that was day two. So that was the hardest thing. I had to overcome that.
mm, wow. It's incredible you were able to push through it, and I feel like it's just that click. You're just like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. You just said to yourself, I'm doing it, and from then on, it was just you just knew what you had to do.
Yeah, it's an uninspiring feeling because you think of Rocky with the
Mm,
music in the background, how he kind of picks himself up off the mat, and the music plays and the inspiration comes. It's nothing like that in real life. As a matter of fact, it's very much like real life. It's getting up in the morning and putting your feet on the floor, and you're in a strange hotel room in the middle of nowhere, and you have to walk 100 meters down a hallway out the door to get on a bike for 8, 9, 10 hours that day. It's like I said earlier, it's making a decision to at least get on that bike and
mm,
make the pedal turn. What I tell people is that if you make progress, you'll build momentum. There's
mm.
nothing better than the first 5K, than the 10K, then 15K. Now, when you get to about 80, 90K, you're you're an unhappy guy no matter what. But once you get on that bike, you start to feel like I can do this. But it's the decision to move towards the bike. She had to put my pants on for me, my cycling pants, because I was so broken. I was so
Wow.
sore. Put them on, and we'd walk down. She'd lift my leg over the bike, and I'd go.
Wow.
So human body is amazing, man. It's like the human spirit. It's if people just tap into it, they can do anything they want to do.
Mm. It's amazing, man. It's amazing you had the support there. And I was just when we were talking yesterday, and obviously there's a video I'll tag of you from the 13,000 kilometer ride. Episode 2, I think your partner is trying to give you a banana, but you can see you're just like, get that away from me. Give me a Pop Tart or something. It's crazy how your mind and your body is just such in a fight or flight state when you come to them hard spots, hey, and challenging situations.
Yeah, I think when we talk about transformation, we talk about community, making sure you're surrounded by the right people. And you often hear that the harder job besides the rider is the support person. What you have to understand about Nicole is she drove a van 13,000 kilometers plus, I'm talking plus, for the majority of the time at a speed of 25 kilometers an hour.
Mm,
She was in that van by herself, sitting on the side of the road,
wow.
waiting for me to either pass or to catch up. So, so this person is going through this mental kind of deal themselves, and they have to deal with someone who at that moment doesn't, isn't very nice. That's all I can say. I mean,
Yeah.
there was very few I love you. I love yous on the road. There's a
Yeah.
lot of like, I'm blaming her for a lot of my discomfort. I mean, blaming her because I'm not liking the food.
Mm.
She had to probably lug a couple of 100 pounds of equipment up flights of stairs every night for over 100 days
Wow.
because we needed the nutrition and the equipment up to the in the hotel room. She did it every night and then back down the next morning because I was too sore to help. So it's
Wow.
if you watch the documentary, none of that's really obvious, but it's an amazing story, what went on behind the scenes.
Mm. Mate, give your love to your beautiful partner for me. What a champion. I bet that would have been a
Don't need-
challenging experience as well for you guys
Oh
as
yeah.
a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, she had to navigate through forest fires, through extreme weather, through some really crazy mountain passes in a very, very big van, um, without any incidents. At the end of the day, we did it without any incidents. I was almost hit a couple times by traffic. Like we were on some very big roads through big cities like Toronto and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, what's amazing about the whole thing, and then I'll stop talking about it. It's two people thought of this. They thought of this concept. We're gonna ride not just across Canada, because we know people have done that before. We're gonna ride across Canada into the wind because I wanted to make it hard. So I said I want to go into the wind. And then I said, and instead of stopping at the west coast, we're gonna pedal another 6,000 plus kilometers into the north and then back home. We don't know if it's ever been done before. And we were able to pull that off in about 6 to 8 months, planning, booking, raising the sponsorship, getting the sponsors in place, raising the money, and completing the 100-day bike ride. So I look at that and I tell people, it's possible. Anything you want to set your mind to is possible.
Mm.
I know we've never done anything on this scale before, yet we were able to plan it and execute it. And that's probably my proudest moment is like we got to the finish line. Yeah, it's a pedaled really far, but think of all the logistics.
Mm.
Over 100 nights of hotel rooms, car rentals, events, meeting up with support riders, making sure nutrition was at the right spot when we pulled in, navigating road closures, hotel rooms that weren't right, or you couldn't even get hot water in some of these places. In one hotel, we had a murder the night before. We were in such remote places, and yet, two people that have no background in that whole world pulled it off, and that to me is a very, very amazing thing.
Yeah, and with no incidents too. That's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It seems like you were definitely meant to do it, you know?
We
So,
we're planning for this one now, and even today I was in a bad state, and my wife will ask me, "She's not having a good day, are you?" And I'll say, "No, not mentally. I'm not having a good day because there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work. You
mm,
got to train every day." I was on the bike for just over about an hour and 20 minutes today, cycling on an indoor trainer. But you also have just a ton of logistics. And every time we do one of these things, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you put more
mm,
pressure on yourself. But as I said to you earlier, if I'm not pursuing this, what will I pursue? What would I be doing? And that's the trick, right? Always
mm,
make sure you're doing something that gives you purpose.
mm.
Um, so yeah, the next one's being planned now, and hopefully you'll be part of it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. And just for the listeners, what's the next one you're planning?
So this one will be shorter, but still about 7,000 plus, maybe eight if you add in some of the detours of cycling. It'll go from it'll go the hard way across Canada game, but this time we are going to mix in every day varieties of movement and different modalities. So
Mm,
I may cycle for 100 kilometers, but then do resistance training at the end of the day. We're going to have yoga sessions. We're going to worry about mobility. We're going to do gain strength because I base the mandate here is to finish this ride stronger and fitter than when I started.
Mm,
The 13,000 kilometer ride, I was not fitter. I was the opposite. I was hunched over, I was sore, I had lost muscle mass. And at my age, that's something you want to try to avoid. So this time we are going to open the doors, introduce way more different types of movement, of exercise varieties, different types of equipment. So it's going to be cycling, and maybe one day we're going to focus on, today we're going to do 1,000 push-ups, or we're gonna break the day into two. We're gonna do resistance training in the morning, and then we're gonna cycle 100K in the afternoon. The next day, we're gonna do a yoga session with a teacher, and maybe do a ruck or some sort of running or paddling or rowing, just to get as many people as we can involved in this journey. So you don't have to be a cyclist, you know if you're inspired by anything we're doing, go to your gym and start doing some resistance training. Go to your gym and start using some of the cardio equipment. Go to your gym and get on the rowing machine. Join a yoga class. All this motion, all this movement is medicine.
mm,
It'll be underpinned by this massive endurance ride. But what I want to show people is you don't have to be a cyclist. You don't have to
mm,
be a crazy guy that runs 300 kilometers. You just have to get up and move and find your joy. And I hope to expose as many people as I can to the idea of movement, while I still pursue my passion, which is an extreme challenge.
mm. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing about it and being a part of it. I wish I could be in Canada to jump on board with a few rides, but I'll have to live
Well,
vicariously through you.
we'll do one down your way, but I know we don't have a lot more time, but I just want to tell people that what we talked about yesterday. I love the concept. It's people like you that I point to and say, always leverage your community. I'm not a trainer. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a person who just pursues this and loves interacting with people like you. And what I want people to know is that when the web page goes up, we're featuring people like you as sources of not only information but of inspiration.
Mm,
I want people to have access to people in their community. And if we can touch people out there that connect with someone like you, in particular, your style, your approach, we've given them a higher probability of, not
mm,
only starting their journey, but maintaining their journey. So just so everybody out there that hears this, we're definitely excited to have people like you coming on board and giving us your perspective, some of
mm,
your information, and some of your tricks, some of your tools, some of your methods, and sharing them. And if they want to pursue it further, then they can reach out to you directly
mm,
and engage you, and find
mm.
that person that can help them. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to having you come on board and
Mm,
sharing your view of this. You
yeah.
will be part of
I'm
it
really
eventually.
excited. Yeah, yeah, I'm super excited, man. Thank you for the compliment there. It's beautiful. And yeah, before we finish off, I'd love to hear if there was anything during the journey that you turned to every day that gave you some courage, extra courage, a word or some food or whatever it was, something that you turned to every day that helped you get through it.
Well, I think there was two things. I think if I would have woken up and Nicole would have said, "I'm done," I probably would have said, "Well, then I'm done too." The fact that she mustered up enough courage and energy to continue was something. So again, that just goes to show you, you can find your inspiration through any kind of individual. They don't always have to be the athlete. She got up every day before me, got me a cup of coffee. There's no way I could turn to her and say, well, if you're willing to go, but I'm not. That was
Mm,
number one. Number two, it was just, I don't want to use the word fear of failure, but it was it's when you make a commitment to people, to yourself, to children, to an organization that believed in you, that commitment is important. Like it's like a legal contract with yourself. You don't take it lightly. If you agree to
Mm,
go for a run in the morning, if you agree to prepare for a 10K race, take that commitment very seriously. Think about anybody around you, your kids, your wife, your workmates. If you weren't if you weren't committed to everything you said, if you didn't follow up with action, if you didn't make sure your words and your actions align, think about what that would make you. And when you say you're going to do something, get up and do it. And doesn't mean you have to do it fast. It doesn't mean you have to be a world record holder. It doesn't mean you have to enter Ironmans. It just means do do what you said you would do. And I say this to leaders too. I've worked with a lot of great leaders, and I've worked with some awful ones who talk and don't deliver. Don't be that person. Be the person that says something and then goes out and delivers. And that makes you a very, very special person.
mm,
It's what makes great leaders, and it's what makes great human beings. They say something and they do it. And I think
mm,
if you're going to make a contract with yourself to get fit, take care of yourself, not only for you but for your family, then do it. Just do it. It's
mm.
I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
it is that simple. It's like, don't let yourself down.
Mm,
You wouldn't let your kids down. You would want your kids to grow up and be that type of person. So be that type of person.
I love that. Dream team around you, a positive dream team, and commit to something higher than you, something greater, something greater. It's,
Yeah, and I'll say one last thing. I think we both have friends in I think it's G8 Performance.
mm,
Um, so I was wearing their insoles. And the reason why I tell this story is because whenever I talk to somebody, I use the word resources. If you are going to undertake a fitness journey, if you're going to undertake a journey of change, surround yourself with the best resources. Invest in health, invest in fitness. It's good for your mental, it's good for your physical state. I always look for tools. I look for people like you. I look for products like G8, and I use them because I always want to say I'm doing as much as I can to maintain my body, maintain my
mm,
mind. I do not, I would spend $100 on a bottle of scotch 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That's no longer in my playbook. Now I'll spend that money on a really good pair of runners with the right equipment, with the right support, with the right people.
mm.
Invest in your health. It's super important.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that you're not afraid to ask for help, because that's a lot of trouble with a lot of males and even women, just asking for help, being vulnerable and asking for help, because we're not meant to do everything alone. We're meant to have people around
No,
us for
no.
support. Yeah.
And my wife always talks about men and mental health. Look, I've been to a counselor. I don't have any problem saying that. I
Mm,
struggle on certain days. If you're struggling with mental health, what I will say is fitness is a huge, huge tool that you can leverage to help your mental health. But if you're suffering from mental health, don't wish it away. It's not going to go away. And I think that saying that and asking people for help is super important. Check in on your mates because you need,
mm,
trust me, you don't know what's going on in their world. And we all know, and we've all heard of stories of it getting to the point where people take themselves out of the game. And
mm,
I don't want men to think that they have to sit around suffering. And
mm,
being tough, be tough in the gym. Go work out hard, push yourself, be tough on the bike. But when you're in that moment of reflection, just be honest and say, maybe I do need help, and
mm.
you know, talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful words, mate, and a beautiful finish to the podcast. And yeah, I guess we'll be hearing a lot more from each other in the future, and I'll be sure to let everyone know where to contact you and the new webpage that's coming up soon, and where to follow you. And yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a few people who are keen to keep looking into it. So yeah, thank you very much for
Amazing.
jumping on, Matt.
Well, thank you, and thank you for joining this journey. I know one day we'll meet face to face
Yeah,
and we'll shake hands and we'll do some great things. And
yeah.
yeah, I look forward to seeing your face in our community here of international
Yeah.
fitness experts,
Tips from down under.
influencers. So exactly. All right, my friend. I'll reach out to you in the next week or so. We're getting very close to launch and I'll keep you informed.
Sounds good. Thank you, brother. Thank
All
you.
right. We'll talk soon, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.